I discovered a secret to tranquility that completely transformed the lives of a couple I've been following for a few years. If you're over 60 and feel like the inner peace you've always had is simply disappearing, as if each morning brings more anxiety than hope, you need to understand what I'm going to share today. Maria and João, married for 42 years, came to me in a state I know well. The one where someone looks at you with weary eyes and says they no longer recognize who they've become. They described exactly what many of you may be feeling right now. A constant sense of something missing, as if the tranquility that was once natural had been stolen by time. For decades, they would wake up naturally calm, face the day with serenity, and sleep peacefully. But in recent years, this harmony began to slowly unravel, replaced by a subtle agitation that grew with each passing day. Nights became restless, thoughts raced, and that comforting feeling of being at peace with oneself simply vanished. What I've discovered observing hundreds of people at this stage of life is something fascinating about how our brains process tranquility after age 60. There's a specific neurobiological change that occurs at this age, related to the production of neurotransmitters that regulate our sense of inner calm. When this production changes, we gradually lose our natural ability to maintain serenity. But there's a specific morning routine, based on ancestral knowledge Maria and João discovered through her mother, that can completely reverse this loss of tranquility. It's something so simple they initially doubted it would work, but so powerful that it transformed not only their mornings, but the couple's entire quality of life. If you feel your inner peace is slipping away and want to regain that sense of tranquility you've always had, type yes in the comments. I need to know who's truly committed to restoring that harmony in your life. Maria and João's story began when she visited her 89-year-old mother, Mrs. Carmen, who had always been known in the family for her unshakable serenity. Over breakfast, Maria commented on how restless she had been feeling lately, as if she had lost the ability to simply be at peace. Dona Carmen smiled with the wisdom that only years bring and said she knew this feeling well. She explained that she had experienced the same thing at age 63 when she began to feel her natural tranquility dissipating like mist in the sun. It was then that she remembered something her own mother did every morning, a simple but deeply restorative routine. What Dona Carmen shared that morning completely changed Maria's perspective on how to start the day. It wasn't just a technique or exercise, but an ancient way to reconnect with the inner peace that our modern society has made us forget. She explained that our minds, after the age of 60, need a specific ritual to regain their natural capacity for tranquility. Maria returned home intrigued and shared everything with João. Together, they decided to try out the morning routine that Dona Carmen had so lovingly described. In the first few weeks, they noticed subtle but significant changes, as if something inside them was gradually reorganizing itself. What strikes me deeply about their case is how a simple family tradition managed to reverse months of growing anxiety. Modern neuroscience confirms that certain ancestral practices activate specific neurological systems related to emotional regulation and the production of calming neurotransmitters. After 3 months of consistently following this routine, Maria told me something I'll never forget. She described how she would wake up naturally calm again, as if she'd reclaimed an essential part of herself she thought she'd lost forever. João confirmed that the atmosphere in the house had changed, that they both felt more connected not only to each other, but also with a sense of peace they hadn't experienced in years. The routine that transformed Maria and João's lives is based on 3 fundamental elements that Dona Carmen learned from previous generations. The first element is what I call morning sensory reconnection, a practice that immediately activates our parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for feelings of calm and tranquility. As soon as they wake up, before even getting out of bed, Maria and João begin dedicating the first 5 minutes to a specific body awareness technique. It's not meditation in the traditional sense, but something deeper and more ancient. They begin slowly moving their toes, then their legs, feeling each part of their body gradually awaken. Neuroscience reveals that when we wake up abruptly and immediately launch into the day's activities, we create a state of cortical stress that lingers with us for hours. This gradual awakening technique allows the brain to maintain adequate levels of calming neurotransmitters, especially important after age 60 when our natural production declines. The second element is what Donna Carmen called the breath of ancestral tranquility. It's a specific way of breathing that activates cellular memories of peace, something our ancestors practiced naturally, but which we've lost in the modern rush. Maria and João learned to synchronize their breathing in a particular way, creating a rhythm that instantly calms the nervous system. This breathing pattern works in 7-second cycles, inhaling, holding for 3 seconds, and exhaling for 9 seconds. The 7-3-9 pattern isn't random. It corresponds precisely to the frequency the human brain recognizes as deeply calming. When we practice this breathing first thing in the morning, we're programming our nervous system to remain calm throughout the day. The third element is perhaps the most powerful, what Donna Carmen called connecting with the morning essence. It involves a simple but profound ritual of gratitude, directed not only at what we have, but specifically at the ability to feel tranquility in that present moment. Maria and João dedicate the last 3 minutes of this routine to mentally identifying 3 specific aspects of the tranquility they feel at that moment. It could be the softness of the sheets, the pleasant temperature of the room, or simply the feeling of being alive and serene. This practice neuroplastically reinforces our ability to recognize and amplify states of inner peace. Recent studies confirm that targeted gratitude releases oxytocin and endorphins, creating an ideal neurochemical state for maintaining calm. When we practice this consistently in the morning, we are literally training our brain to produce more natural substances associated with well-being and serenity. What makes this routine truly transformative is how it adapts to the specific needs of the brain after age 60. Observing Maria and João over the months, I noticed that they developed natural variations on the basic technique, creating a personalized practice that resonates deeply with their individual needs. The quiet memory technique emerged spontaneously during the 3rd week of practice. Maria began incorporating into her routine a specific memory of a moment in her life when she felt profoundly at peace. Not just any memory, but one she can relive sensorially, reliving the tranquility of that specific moment. She chose a Sunday afternoon from her childhood, when she lay in her grandmother's hammock, listening to the wind in the leaves and feeling that absolute peace only children know. During her morning routine, Maria not only remembers this moment, she relives it completely, activating the same neural networks that were activated decades ago. João developed his own variation, connecting with the memory of a morning fishing with his father when he was 8 years old. He relives the sensation of mist over the lake, the almost sacred silence of dawn, and that unique feeling of being completely present and at peace. This sensory memory technique reactivates neurological patterns of tranquility that our brains have stored for decades. The second core technique they incorporated is what I call morning energy synchronization. Couples who practice this routine together find they can mutually amplify the benefits. Maria and João learned to synchronize not only their breathing, but also their intention for tranquility, creating a shared energy field of serenity. They discovered that when they practiced side by side in bed, their brain waves naturally synchronize, creating a state of coherence that enhances the practice's calming effects. Neuroscience confirms that when 2 people practice relaxation techniques simultaneously, a neural resonance occurs that amplifies the benefits for both. During this synchronization, they mentally send each other intentions of peace and tranquility, as if energetically sharing their serenity. It's not something mystical, but a practice that activates specific types of mirror neurons related to empathy and shared well-being. The third core technique is neural programming for calmness, where they spend 2 minutes visualizing how they want to feel during the day. It's not a generic visualization, but rather a specific program for how to respond calmly to challenges that may arise. Maria visualizes specific situations that would normally make her anxious, such as heavy traffic or long lines, but sees herself responding with absolute calm. João does the same with situations that usually irritate him, such as technological problems or complicated bureaucracy. This technique creates alternative neural pathways that facilitate calm responses to everyday stressors. The most advanced techniques of this ancient routine are those that Maria and João developed after months of consistent practice. They represent a natural refinement of the basic practice, adaptations that arise when the brain is already conditioned to the benefits of morning tranquility. The expanding serenity technique is perhaps the most powerful of all. After completing the basic routine, they spend a few extra minutes mentally expanding their sense of tranquility beyond themselves. They begin by feeling the peace in their bodies. Then imagine this serenity expanding to fill the room, then the house, and gradually the neighborhood. This expansion isn't just imaginative. It activates neural networks related to compassion and social connection. Studies show that when we mentally practice sending well-being to others, our own system for producing calming neurotransmitters is enhanced. It's as if the brain understands that the more serenity we share, the more we are capable of producing. João developed a specific variation where he includes people he knows who are going through difficult times in this expansion. He takes a few seconds to mentally send his morning tranquility to each of these people, a practice that not only benefits his relationships but strengthens his own ability to maintain serenity throughout the day. The sensory anchoring technique is another refinement that emerged naturally. Maria discovered that if she gently touched her left wrist with her right index finger during practice, this tactile sensation became an instant trigger for accessing tranquility throughout the day. Whenever she felt restless, she simply repeated this touch to immediately reactivate the state of serenity cultivated in the morning. This anchoring works because the brain creates powerful neurological associations between sensory stimuli and emotional states. When we consistently perform a specific physical action during a state of tranquility, that action becomes a direct command to the nervous system to reproduce that state. The final technique, which they call the sealing of tranquility, involves a symbolic ritual of gratitude for the gift of serenity. Before rising from bed, they place their hands over their hearts and make a silent declaration of intention to carry this tranquility as a treasure throughout the day. This sealing isn't superstition, it's applied neuroscience. When we make a conscious statement of intention, especially accompanied by a physical gesture, we're creating an executive command in the prefrontal cortex that influences our emotional responses throughout the day. If you've made it this far and feel that these techniques resonate with you, and if you recognize in Maria and João the potential to reclaim your natural tranquility, then click the subscribe button now. This channel is dedicated especially to people like you who want to reclaim the serenity that has always been yours naturally. What fascinates me most about studying cases like Maria and João's is discovering how ancestral practices align perfectly with modern neuroscientific discoveries. There's a specific explanation for why we lose our natural tranquility after 60, and understanding this science makes recovery even more effective. Our brain has a system called the default mode neural network, responsible for maintaining states of tranquility when we're not actively focused on specific tasks. This network includes areas such as the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate cortex, and the precuneus, which work together to create our sense of inner peace. After age 60, this network undergoes significant structural changes. Connectivity between its different parts decreases, and the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, essential for tranquility, also declines. This is why many people in this age group feel they've lost their natural ability to be at peace. The routine Maria and João practice directly affects these neurological systems. The specific 7-3-9 breathing pattern stimulates the vagus nerve, which is primarily responsible for activating the parasympathetic nervous system. When the vagus nerve is properly stimulated, it sends direct signals to the brain to produce more calming neurotransmitters. The sensory memory technique reactivates neural networks that were formed during moments of profound tranquility. Our brains maintain complete neurological records of intense emotional experiences, including states of serenity. When we consciously access these memories, we are literally reactivating the same neurological patterns that created that original tranquility. The most impressive aspect is how consistent practice of this routine creates targeted neuroplasticity. Studies show that when we regularly engage in activities that promote tranquility, our brain begins to form new neural connections that facilitate access to states of serenity. It's as if we're building neurological pathways that lead directly to inner peace. Synchronization between partners adds another fascinating element. When two people practice relaxation techniques simultaneously, their brains enter a state of shared coherence, where brain waves synchronize. This synchronization amplifies the production of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which naturally promotes feelings of security and tranquility. Share this video with someone you think could benefit from this information. Sometimes, a simple share can completely transform the quality of life of a loved one who is losing their natural tranquility. During the 6 months I followed Maria and João, I observed how they naturally adapted their basic routine to create a complete system for maintaining calm. These adaptations emerged organically, as if their brains instinctively knew how to optimize the benefits of the practice. They discovered that certain environmental elements significantly enhance the effects of routine. Maria began leaving a small aromatic plant on her nightstand, usually lavender or basil, so that the first scent she smelled upon waking would be naturally calming. João began slightly opening the window the night before, so that the fresh air and natural sounds of dawn were part of the experience. The room temperature also proved crucial. They found that practicing the routine in a slightly cooler environment, between 20 and 22 degrees Celsius, facilitates the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. The human body naturally relaxes when the temperature is in this range, and this physical condition perfectly complements the neurological effects of the technique. Another interesting adaptation was how they incorporated specific tactile elements. Maria began using a particularly soft cotton sheet during practice, while João discovered that keeping a small, smooth stone on his bedside table, which he held lightly during the grounding technique, amplified his results. The timing also evolved naturally. Although the routine works at any time of the morning, they found that practicing within the first 20 minutes of waking, before the frontal cortex is fully activated for the day's demands, produces more lasting results. It's as if they tapped into a specific neurological window where the brain is most receptive to calm programming. Pre- and post-practice nutrition also proved to be relevant. They noticed that when they drank a glass of warm water with a few drops of lemon before their routine and drank chamomile tea immediately afterward, the effects naturally lasted longer. These specific liquids biochemically supplement the neurotransmitters produced during practice. Maria developed a tranquility journal where she briefly notes how she felt during and after her practice each morning. This record not only helps her identify patterns and optimize her technique, but also serves as a tangible reminder of her progress. Rereading these notes weeks later reinforces her confidence in the effectiveness of the practice. The connection to family purpose also became a powerful element. They began dedicating the last minute of their routine to mentally sending their newly cultivated tranquility to their children and grandchildren, creating a sense that their morning serenity contributes to the well-being of the entire family. Commit to me now for the next 21 days to try at least the basic elements of this ancient routine. This is the time your brain needs to begin forming new neurological connections. Leave a comment saying, "I commit," if you're willing to give this opportunity to your natural tranquility. 6 months after that first meeting, when I saw Maria and João again, they were completely transformed. Not only had they regained their natural tranquility, but they had developed an even deeper serenity than before. It was as if they had discovered an aspect of themselves they hadn't known before. What struck me most was how this simple routine had influenced every aspect of their lives. Their relationships became more harmonious, their physical health improved significantly, and they developed a completely different perspective on aging. Instead of seeing the passing years as a gradual loss of capabilities, they began to see them as an opportunity to refine their inner wisdom. Maria told me that she now feels more at peace at 67 than she did at 40. João said something I'll never forget, that he finally understood what it meant to age gracefully. They not only regained what they thought they'd lost, but discovered inner resources they didn't know they possessed. Neuroscience confirms that our brains maintain the capacity for change and adaptation throughout life. Neuroplasticity does not significantly decline with age when properly stimulated. Practices like this ancestral routine can not only restore functions we thought were lost, but even create new capacities for well-being. If you feel your natural calmness slipping away, remember that this isn't a definitive sign of aging. It's simply a sign that your brain needs the right kind of stimulation to reactivate its natural calming systems. The routine I shared today provides just that. Subscribe to the channel to receive more content on how to recover and enhance your natural abilities after 60. Turn on the bell to be notified whenever I publish new videos. And if this content resonated with you, leave a like to help more people discover this information. In the comments, tell me about your experience with the loss of tranquility. How long have you felt like your natural serenity was no longer the same? Your story may inspire other viewers going through the same situation. Share this video with family and friends who may also be experiencing this loss of peace. Sometimes the right information at the right time can completely transform the trajectory of someone we love. Remember, your natural tranquility hasn't disappeared. It just needs to be rediscovered through the right practices. And now you have ancient knowledge and modern science working together to restore the serenity that was always rightfully yours.